Curious about the lifespan of a Tesla, age, kilometers, mileage. Please share your experience.
Yeah, this is something that we've covered a few times, and it's always good to revisit this because there is a misunderstanding and a lot of misinformation out there about Teslas. Like, for instance, they all catch on fire when they're 6,000% less likely to catch fire than a gasoline vehicle, a nice vehicle. That this is another misunderstanding of, well, they don't last a long time, the batteries die and you have to replace them. So Peter's asking a great question here, and just going through some of the comments, I'll hit some of the high points here just because he's asking people to share. Gavin says, "My 2021 Model 3 has about 160,000 miles on it and is fine." So that's a roughly 4-year-old vehicle. So that's good miles. I mean, you're putting 40,000 miles on it a year. So Gavin drives a lot, has no problems. Andrea, um, 2016, 70,000 miles. That's low mileage. So let's see here. A 2022 with 90,000 miles, 83% battery retention. A 2015 with 175,000 miles. Here's
2014, 170,000 miles going strong.
Yeah, 170,000 miles, and I think that was the biggest one. Wasn't there one though? Yeah, here it is. 21 Model 3, 200,000 miles. This is by Craig. And Craig, man, congratulations. Way to go.
Yeah,
200,000
here's 10,
miles.
10 years from Neera Sharma, 10 plus years, 200 plus thousand miles.
Yeah, so let's talk about how Teslas are designed to work and how long they're designed to last. Well, the drivetrain and the motors and the driveline is designed to last 1,000,000 miles. That's what Musk has said, is what Tesla engineers have said. So definitely designed to outlast most other vehicles on the road. And the batteries are designed to last. There's no mileage that they're designed to last. It's charge cycles. So when you think of a battery, it stores power. It doesn't store mileage, doesn't store range, it stores energy. And these batteries are designed to last up to 1,500 or more charge cycles. So one charge cycle would be charging from 0% to 100%. Now, we never charge that way. We charge from 30% to 70%. And that 40% charge, that's point 0.4 of one charge cycle, or 40% of one charge cycle. So when you add all of those charge cycles up, you've got 1,500 plus. Man, you're talking about serious mileage. So we were doing some math on this earlier. Some cars today are getting 300 miles range. Older cars get, 190, 200 maybe. So even if we take that 200 actual miles, by the way, because we're talking about real mileage, not just range miles, but actual miles. If you're getting 200 miles out of a charge, 1,500 charge cycles get you over 300,000 miles, right? 200 times 1,500 charge cycles, 300,000 miles. So if you're getting more than 200 miles per charge, then you're going to get more than 300,000 miles out of your battery. So big misunderstanding where people think that when these cars get 5 years old, that with 100,000 miles on it, that, oh, the battery's going to need to be replaced. And that's not necessarily true. In fact, there's some other comments. I don't see it right here, but uh, where people are still on their original batteries with 150, 170,000 miles, 200,000 miles. So uh, one comment here, Rod, that I wanted to end with is somebody said that they had heard that less than 1% of Teslas, here it is by Gene Powell. I believe that less than 1% of all Teslas made have ever had to have their HV battery replaced. I did some research on this and I found that it's probably more like 2.5%, but still 98.5% of, excuse me, 97.5% of Teslas have not had their HV battery replaced. So it's pretty outstanding. And these HV batteries just don't often go bad.
Yeah, and I was gonna mention Chris Bull's comment here, 2015 S with 175,000 miles, battery replaced under warranty in 2021. Um, got about 285 highway miles, no plans on replacing her. And what's interesting, Tori, that you and I, obviously, we've engaged with, thousands and thousands of Tesla owners, and we've looked seriously into a lot of the best practices with remanufacturing batteries. But what we found is we can't find batteries to remanufacture, and the Tesla owners whose V batteries have gone bad typically happen as a manufacturer's defect under warranty during the beginning phases. We're not seeing many batteries go bad from mileage and just being worn out. They seem to be replaced under warranty from time to time because of a
Mhm.
manufacturer's defect. And I do like to put this into context and compare it to an ICE vehicle. Tori, you and I both are gearheads. We've had a lot of ICE vehicles. You're a drag racer. Um, I've driven ICE vehicles all over the country, doing all kind of crazy things and racing dirt bikes. And when you and I were young, you kind of knew you're going to get 100,000 miles out of your engine before you were going to need to rebuild it. And that's probably a lot more than that now. Double it to 200,000 miles. But with an ICE vehicle, there are a lot more components that need maintenance and can go bad. And so I think this. I wanted to restate what you said, and I'm going to up it to the 1,500 charge cycles. If you're getting 250 miles of range on a newer Tesla, that's 375,000 miles before a major repair like an engine or a transmission in an ICE vehicle. I don't think you're going to find many ICE vehicles that are going to go 375,000 miles without having a major engine or transmission repair. So these things are pretty doggone reliable. They really are.
Eh, you know, you mentioned the moving parts, and it made me think of a previous conversation we've had to where if imagine if everything were electric, because, electric vehicles actually were created very early on. They just couldn't store capacity batteries very well. And so that's why gasoline engines took over. But if we were an electric vehicle society and somebody came and said, I've got this great idea, we're going to take gasoline and we're going to store it in the car, and we're going to take this engine instead of the motor that's simple, we're going to take an engine that's got hundreds of moving parts and fuel pumps and blah 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 blah, and we're going to make a compression engine that compresses the
Uh,
gas and burns it
We're gonna
and
explode. We're gonna explode this thing. We're gonna have a little explosion over and over and over as you
thousands
go
of
down
times
on
a
your
second.
way to work.
So and people would be like, "That's the worst idea you have ever
Worst
heard."
idea
Yeah.
ever.
So I think of that and, the moving parts, you're right, there is less that can go wrong with the Tesla. Not that stuff doesn't go wrong, but this is just a big misinformation of and also people who, whether politically or just ignorant, are throwing negative bad press out for Teslas and electric vehicles, largely because Uncle Sam came and mandated and said, you're going to have to own an electric vehicle. And here in America, Americans don't do really good with what the government tells them they have to do. In fact, it makes them want to do the opposite. So that healthy growth that we had just because electric vehicles and Tesla was growing and instant torque and all the technology, that the stuff that we love, you could have just let that go and we would have been great. But instead, you have to get involved and it's chaotic. But one last point here, Rod, there is there are some tips for adding to your battery's longevity and reducing the degradation. So degradation simply means that when you buy your battery, even from the factory, it typically has like 96 or 97% of its stated capacity. So even brand new, you're missing somewhere between 2.5 to 4% of the full range. So my 100 kilowatt battery in my Model X, when I got it, it was really 97 or 96.8. Like that, it just brand new, that's what it was. People misunderstand that. But then as you use it, it doesn't charge to 97 kilowatt hours anymore. Over time, it charges to 95 and then 92 and then 89. So how do you reduce that degradation? And it's pretty simple. The very best tip is to charge your car to somewhere between 50 to 70%. Really, let me restate that. Charge your car to what the app and the screen tells you to charge it to for daily usage, because
Yes.
they're factoring
Mine
in, and
is
I would even go
70.
on the low side of that. I typically charge my Model X to 60%, maybe 65%. I just leave it there, and every day I've got 65% of a tank of gas is the way I look at it, and, and I just leave it there, and then ABC is always be connected, and that way, your systems that are running, your Sentry mode at home and all that stuff, it's running off of the power. You're connected to the car, and so it can run off of the power instead of running out off of the battery that then has to be recharged later and is more of a charging cycle, right? So you can really save degradation and less charge cycles by just leaving it connected all the time.
Yeah. Yep. So, anyway, very fun topic. We could keep going on and on and about EVs and their lasting impacts. We talked a couple of pods ago about how many recalls with Teslas are done over the air, and you don't have to take them into a dealership, and just a lot of cool things with. And I am tying that back to the right reliability because I mean, how many times have you my truck's got 2 recalls on it right now that I haven't taken it to the dealership to get done. So, a lot of times you have recalls and you don't get them done, and it impacts the reliability, and that's pretty rare on a Tesla, so